I like this graphic. I like graphics in general, but this one is intended to graphically say what Bhagavad Gita is. One of the ways to describe what Bhagavad Gita is, it's systems of yoga that are like staircase or rungs on a ladder, starting this place, then to the next place, then to the next place. Gradual elevation through the stages of yoga up to higher. So the purpose of yoga, higher consciousness, or attaining the supreme. Because the word yoga means linking with the supreme. Yoga means to link. Link with what? Link with the supreme. What's the supreme? The supreme, in one sense, is that from which everything comes. There's some verses in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says that. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matak sarvam pravartate. You know the verse? Iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. Aham is first person singular, I. Sarvasya means everything, matter and spirit, both. Aham sarvasya prabhava. He's the source of emanation of everything. So yoga is to connect with the source of everything. Now, many people don't know what the source of everything is. Many people don't know lots of things. One of the symptoms of being in this material world is one is covered by something very unfortunate called ignorance. So this is a university. It's meant to be an antidote for ignorance, right? You're supposed to get good education so you know things. From the Bhagavad Gita perspective, it's another version of ignorance. Meaning, removal of ignorance means to know who you are. If we were to do a survey amongst the university students, I won't ask any of you here, I won't embarrass you, but if we were to do a survey, who are you? What kind of answers would you get? Varieties of ignorance. So, coverings of the soul are of two varieties, gross and subtle, from Bhagavad Gita. There's 5 gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. And then there's 3 subtle elements: mind, intelligence, and false ego. Most people identify with the gross elements. I'm this body. I'm American. Or I'm, whatever, fill in the blank. I'm Indian. I notice there's lots of Oriental students here. I mean, some. So I'm from wherever I'm from. I'm from China, I'm from Hong Kong, or I'm from Japan, or wherever they're from. It has to do with the body, identification with the body. Most people identify with the body. I mean, wars have everything to do with the body. This guy bashing that guy, or this group bashing that group, and because your body is a different type than mine. Or then the mind, the ideology from Bhagavad Gita. There are 2 functions of the mind. You ready? From Bhagavad Gita. Thinking, feeling, and willing. That's 3 functions of the mind. You think about something, you have a feeling about that something you're thinking about, and then you will in relation to that something. I want to get rid of that, or I want some of those, or, thinking, and so the subtle activity precedes the gross activity. The willing comes, before the action. Then another function of the mind is carrying conceptions of life. This is a Bhagavad Gita class. many. The mind carries conceptions, according to Bhagavad Gita, like the air carries aroma, the mind carries conceptions of life. And what's the conception depends on what the mind has been in association with, just like the wind. Supposing you're downwind from a botanical garden, it smells nice. Supposing you're downwind from a garbage dump, it stinks. It's just carrying the aroma of that which it's been in association with. So the mind carries conceptions that have everything to do with the association that we keep. So you're at a university. Part of the reason to be at a university is association with persons that are supposed to be, learned. Pardon me. So that's why you're here, to learn from people that know something on whatever it is. Here's a for example. Just Guru Bhakti, just this afternoon, guess who I met? Someone that just came from 4 years of medical studies, and now he's strapped on for another 6 years of internship and residency. I haven't seen him in years. He looks the same, but he's a smart young man, and he's ready to do another 6 years on the rock pile, breaking rocks, and becoming more smart. And then one more year, 7 years, if he's going to specialize in internal medicine through association. Most of us don't know all that. She knows that stuff because she's a practicing doctor. You still practicing? No. You retired. Okay. So you get the idea. Association determines the conceptions of life that you carry. Supposing somebody's a good person and somehow they get an association with thieves or drunkards or drug addicts or something, somehow, then they become one of those through association. Someone good can become corrupted by bad association. One day, probably, some of you will become parents. And one of the things that you'll find is you're really concerned with who your kids are associating with. Because, a rotten apple can spoil the barrel. Your dependents, not only children, all of us, take on qualities like those with whom we associate. It's right in Bhagavad Gita. Sangat sanjayate kama. Kama means desire. We develop desires like those with whom we associate. So now back to this picture here that's on the screen and the topic that I'd like to speak about. There's the concept of Nirvana, and there's the concept of yoga, and there's some overlap, but there's some distinction also. Nirvana is a Sanskrit word. Nir, the prefix, means not. Vana literally means forest. Nirvana means out of the forest of material existence, or cessation of material existence. It's a term that became popularized and is still identified with Buddhism. So, do any of you know something about Buddhism? 2 of you. 4 of you. Okay. Once upon a time, I was an undergraduate student. Seems like a few lifetimes ago. And no thank you with the garland. No thank you with the garland. Third time, no thank you. Thank you, but no thank you. They're really heavy. They're offered to the deities, and they're like, it's really heavy. So when I was an undergraduate student, quick, during my time, the war in Vietnam was going on. That was a few years ago. And when I was in undergraduate school, I was in pre-med, Guru Bhakti. I was in pre-med. And, doing well in school, because you're supposed to do well in school if you're going to be in pre-med. And my parents were informing me, you're getting draft notices. They said, go ahead and open it up. And so you're drafted, you're listed 1A, which means come to the Army recruiting station, get your uniform, get on an airplane, and go off to Vietnam and do your thing. And I thought, it's a really dumb war, and it's double dumb to take someone out of medical training and send them off to a dumb war. It's double dumb. So I didn't respond. And then they kind of got in my case, saying, you got to respond. They'll put you in jail. You got to respond. You got to do something. They didn't tell me what to do. So what I did was, I found out from the Quakers. Those of you that are American-born, you know what the Quakers are, who the Quakers are. It's a Christian group, kind of pacifist, nice people. Very nice people. Very nice people. So they were helping young men like me who were drafted into the Vietnamese War to get out of the war. And one of the methods, the primary method, was conscientious objector, CO. You have to fill out a form. So I got a form and the first question, state the nature of your belief such that you cannot take part in the armed forces of the United States of America. So, Dean's List students know how to get A's in exams. You give the answer the teacher wants, and you get an A in your exam. So I knew how to answer. So I'd get an A in the exam, but I didn't know the answer. I mean, I took the question seriously. I'll say it again. State the nature of your convictions such that you cannot take part in the armed forces of the United States of America. Like, who are you? That wasn't the way they had phrased it, but that was the question. And the answer was, I don't know. I mean, honest answer was, I don't know. And that irritated me a lot. I mean, I'm da-da-da-da-da-da, but I don't know who I am. I don't know what my convictions are. What kind of education is that I bought into? And I was angry. Little. Not, bent out of shape, but, what did I buy into? That doesn't tell me who I am, but I'm going to be successful. Something's wrong with this picture. So I stepped 3 giant steps back and said, I'm going to spend some time asking myself that question. And I didn't get answers. And so I started looking at different traditions. I went to the tradition that I grew up with and no answers. So then I started looking at other traditions and wisdom literatures. And that question led to a lot of other questions and a lot of other, one of the things I contacted was Buddhism. It was interesting, through association. In my senior year of undergraduate, this is all to explain the Nirvana term, because it has connected largely with Buddhism. In the house where I was living, each of the different persons in the house, this is the senior year, Everyone was doing a different spiritual practice. That was kind of a thing at the time, at least some of us. So one of the persons in the house, he was a practicing Buddhist. He wasn't like a realized Buddhist, but he, along with being a student, so he took us. I went with him. We went to the nearby Zen Buddhist Center in upstate New York. And I liked it. I thought maybe there's some answers here. So we built a little zendo, a Zen meditation room in the farmhouse. And the discipline goes like this. It's going to take some time to tell the story, but it's important for understanding Nirvana. The idea is detach yourself from the mind, or the thoughts within the mind, not the mind, the thoughts within the mind. The procedure is you sit in a lotus posture, straight back, sitting down, cross-legged, everything, and you're looking at a blank wall, and and allow the thoughts in your mind to just come like clouds in the sky, but don't identify with them. You can detect them, but don't become attached to them, because what will happen after a time, the cloud that's in the sky will move along, and it's gone. And then there's another cloud in the sky, another thought, another feeling, another something, and the mind carries thinking, feeling, willing, and conceptions. But you don't identify with it, and just let it go. And do that for 2 hours. And after some time, it becomes a clear sky. No clouds in the sky. And it's very peaceful. So I did that for 2 hours every day before the sun rises, because we were told that's the best time to do any spiritual practice, the best time. And then after doing that for like 2-3 months, I found while it's powerful, it's not natural. Because when I started doing stuff that you do every day, that focus and concentration and everything just dissipated. It's not how you live your life. And I want to live my life, it's higher consciousness, not just sit. And that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. So then I started exploring other things. And without the details, different mantras, different teachings. I read 7 translations of Bhagavad Gita. There's a nice story to that, but before I read this one, this was number 8. And I couldn't understand the other ones, and I was confused why I couldn't understand. And this was easy to understand, relatively. But I liked it, so I kept reading it. Then I could understand. Chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita is a system of understanding. It's descending knowledge. Chapter 4. It's not, the other ones were like somebody with a powerful flashlight looking for the sun. That's not how you find the sun. The sun is self-luminous and it reveals itself. Not by ascending, but by descending knowledge through disciplic succession. I mean, I didn't understand it till some course of time I could understand. That's why it was easier to understand. No, one of the concept of nirvana, and then this is the title, The Path of Yoga Beyond Nirvana. Nirvana, here's Buddha's teachings. I was given more the practice than the teachings, but when I became a devotee of Krishna, I got the teachings, from someone that knows the teachings that Buddha taught, because Buddha is an incarnation of Krishna. So his teachings are 2 things. To achieve nirvana, you have to live a life in goodness. And one of the first principles that he taught was ahimsa, or nonviolence. Because he was a prince, and he saw in the temple, a worshippers of demigod temple, they were sacrificing animals. And he asked, what was this? He said, it's within the Vedas. You can sacrifice animals, blah, blah, blah. He said, then I reject the Vedas. Be nonviolent. Don't follow the Vedas, follow me. Be nonviolent. The Vedas also say to be nonviolent. But anyway, and then other symptoms of goodness. So this is a recommendation that it made sense. Clean, truthful, live by codes of conduct, proper conduct, like Ramayana. Many of you from India, you know codes of conduct. And be of ideal conduct, learn what they are and follow, and avoid the do-nots. Be a virtuous person. And second is mindfulness, because this is the meditation part. And you can't do the meditation properly unless you do the other part, living a life in goodness, including your food choices and everything. To do meditation when you don't observe those things, it's not meditation. So mindfulness now it's a popular term because Buddhism has become popular, and it's said in different ways. Be in the moment. One of a dear friend, his name is Vaisheshika Prabhu. Vaisheshika Prabhu likes distributing books. So he was in New York City one day. You like distributing books too, right? He was in New York City one day, with some other young devotees, showing, engaging them in book distribution. So he shared this with me. One young fellow came bounding up to him and said, "Are you enjoying being in the moment?" Because he was dressed in a dhoti like this. Are you enjoying being in the moment? Because that's a Buddhist phrase. So because he was wearing robes, they thought he's a Buddhist. Are you enjoying being? But it's a Buddhist concept. Be in the moment. Be in the moment. Be in the moment, because the past is gone, and the future hasn't happened yet, and all there is the moment. So be in the moment. And when you become really good, listen to this one. When you become really good at being in the moment, you can go beyond being in the moment. And what's that? Nirvana. And what's beyond the moment? What's that? Beyond human existence is nothingness, or void, or nirvana. That's the Buddhist conception. It's not the Bhagavad Gita or the Vedic conception, but it's what he was teaching. I'll say it again. He didn't say there is or there isn't a soul. He didn't say one way or the other. He said there is consciousness, and consciousness is momentary. It's in his teachings. There's Shanak Vijnanavad in Sanskrit. Vijnana means realized knowledge. And Shana means the moment. Consciousness is momentary. And be in the moment. Be conscious in the moment. That's consciousness. And then go beyond the moment to attain enlightenment. That's the objective. That's what, when you get on that train, that's where the train's going. Nirvana, or nothingness. Now, yoga is beyond nothingness. It's somethingness. That is to say, beyond the temporary, the material, there's something. And that something, in the Vedic conception, is Brahman, or the absolute truth. And then Brahman has different features. An all-pervasive Brahman a localized or Paramatma within the heart, Brahman, Para Brahman. And then there's Bhagavan, the person from whom the localized feature within the heart of everyone emanates. I'll say it again. There's stages of realization of that which is beyond nothingness, is the somethingness. And yoga means to connect with that supreme. And then there's different conceptions of what is the supreme. And Bhagavad Gita is teaching what those different stages of conception are, up to the personal feature. Or the personal feature is realized through a type of yoga, it's called bhakti yoga, where one does what one does in this world with the objective of connecting that which is of this world with the source of emanation, the Supreme, and offering things with love. Just like this morning, I saw this nice devotee over here, Sarvabhauma, coming from his garden. And I saw you walking with this nice white flower in your hand. I saw you slowly. He walked slowly. But, they have a garden. And where does the garden come from? Where does everything come from? From the same place, the source. So he picked a flower from the garden and then brought the flower and placed the flower on the Vyasasana to offering to the spiritual master, who's the representative of Krishna. So that's bhakti. Simple. That which, supposing somebody likes to sing. You know some people that like to sing. Who's going to be the singer tonight? You're the singer. I better hurry up and finish so you can sing. So where did his ability to sing come from? Same place where the flower came from, or water comes from, or, where this projector comes from, or where anything comes from. Where do we come from? Same source, one source. And then you take that which comes from the source and you offer it to the source. So then singing is there, and you sing for Krishna. And it does something to the heart. If you're doing something from the heart, then you feel something. It's moving, other than just behavior. And that's bhakti. That's bhakti yoga. Taking that which is from the source and offering it to the source. So now I'm going to move on with some other pictures. Here we go. Down. This is a stage, and there's two actors on the stage. They're having a duel, and they're having a duel over the fair maiden who's in the middle. And one's the good guy, one's the bad guy, and who's going to win? So they think that they're the doer, karta. You're all familiar with the word karma. Karma means to do. You do something, and then there's a reaction for that something. Both. It's what you do, and the reaction that comes from what you do. The choices that you make, based on the conception of life that you have, which is based on the association that you've kept. So they think that they're, winning the hand of the fair maiden, but then there's these other guys upstairs. You see the sun and the moon, and the moon has got this kind of cheesy grin, and that's the bad guy. So there's the good guys and the bad guys. It's a good plot has good guys and bad guys. And that's life. And we're thinking we're independent, but we're puppets, or we're being moved by the influences of the modes of nature. So one can ask the question, this is a karma question, is there free will or destiny? Because karma says there's destiny, and we're influenced by destiny. But how do we get that destiny? We did something, and there's a karmic reaction for that something, good or bad. There's good destiny, there's bad destiny, and there's the mix. And then there's free will. So we're making choices even as we're moving along, being influenced by their past karma. Now, there are teachings that could carry one beyond karma. Here's a simple teaching. This is chapter 3, Bhagavad Gita. Karma means action, and karma yoga means offering the fruits of your reaction, of your actions, in such a way that you're detached. A little bit like this Buddhist idea of mind and not being attached to the thoughts in your mind. So many people do some activity, some work, karma, with the purpose of getting something. Just like, be very honest, why are you all in the university? To get some training, to get some education, to get a profession, so you can move on with your life and earn some money and do things that you do when you get some money. That's karma. There's good and bad and mixed karma. But we're bound to, so that there is such a thing as doing something where you're not attached to the results of that something. That's karma yoga. Who does something without the expectation of getting something? It's like TSA. There was no funding. So TSA, wasn't working. There were some people that volunteered anyways because they were good-hearted people, and so they went out there and did what they did. Now there's some funding, so they're back to work. Partial funding, at least. So people do something to get something, and money is the big something. But there's something we can get with money. That's stuff. You need some money to get stuff. You get a house and get a car and get a computer and your phone and pay your bills and pay taxes for the money you earned and all that good stuff. So it's involvement in the material energy, but there's a way to act where you're not involved in the material energy. That's karma yoga. You offer the results to the Supreme. Like sing, perform music, Haribol. Perform music where it's for Krishna. And there's kind of, generally speaking, there's a mix. We're accustomed to doing something because there's some, sense of achieving something. Some appreciation, something. There's a mix, commonly. But the idea is to go beyond mixed. That's yoga. And these teachings, this is what books looked like before. They weren't printed as they are now. So they were on leaves, handwritten, bound in little strings, and one end and the other end is some little board, just to keep them in order. That's called the Vedas. That's what they looked like when they were in written form. Before they were in written form, they were in sound vibration form. They weren't even written. Now, Buddha rejected the Vedas and did what he did, gave some teachings that said Nirvana. And then is there something within the Vedas that teaches some of the principles, living the life in goodness and engaged in meditation? That's within the Vedas. But he rejected the Vedas because what's the goal? It's a good question. It's like the who am I question. It draws kind of a blank. What's the goal? What's the intent? Mindfulness in the material plane has influenced by these three modes. I'm not going to go into it. It's a big topic in the Bhagavad Gita. Maybe, 1/4 of Bhagavad Gita deals with this topic. Goodness, passion, ignorance. This is the destructive mode. This is the creative mode, passion, and that's the maintenance mode. And the idea is to go beyond all three modes. I'm not going to read it, but there's a section that you can read if you have a Bhagavad Gita. If you don't have one, if you don't have a Bhagavad Gita, say so and we'll give you one. It's a freebie. It's the sponsored Bhagavad Gita. So here's chapter 6 is the chapter that deals with meditation, dhyan, or meditation, dhyan yoga. And in the dhyan yoga section, there's this little description, Swarupena vyavastati, one can be situated in one's swarupa by proper execution of the process of yoga. And vyavastati, stiti means to be situated, the permanent situation of the form of the living entity, after he gives up the changeable gross and subtle material bodies. Because at one point, involuntarily or voluntarily, the body is going to be gone. And then what happens after that? There's what we did during this life, and that's going to determine what happens after that. Karma is going to determine. Guna and karma, modes of nature, and our work that we did in this life is going to determine what happens next. But supposing one has been proficient in practicing yoga and there's no more karma, it's extinguished. So then that's the permanent form of the living entity. A nice example, I'm going to try to move quickly now. So this is a nice painting of Narada Muni. Those of you from India, you recognize him. He's got this Veena. Who was he before he was Narada Muni? He narrates this in the Bhagavatam, and he tells who he was in his early childhood and who he was before the early childhood. He could remember past lives. So as a little boy, without the detail, it's a long, nice section, he was born of a Shudra mother without even knowing who his father is. And in course of time, some sages stayed for 4 months of the rainy season, and his mother, in an area where his mother was situated, she took care of them like her children. And her little son was the one that brought the cooking and washed their clothes and would listen to their conversations and learn from them by association, through association. And he was very gentle, and he didn't talk too much, and he was very attentive. So they became very pleased with him, and they gave him more teachings and a mantra. And then after 4 months of rainy season, they left. So there he was with mom and teachings. And his mother was bitten by a cobra. She died. So now he's a little boy without even a mother. So he took the teachings that he heard to heart. He took the mantra that he received from them to heart, and he dedicated his life to both. And this is what happened at the end. At the end of his life, his mind was fixed upon the Supreme, and he achieved this form of Narada Muni. Narada Muni is telling this to someone who wanted to know who were you before you were Narada Muni. It's a long, it's more to the story, but that's the basic story. The idea is to come to our permanent situation of the soul's swarupa. Swa means one's own. Rupa means form. Swarupena vyavastati. I think I'm just going to say a couple of things and then pause and see if there's discussion, because there's more to cover, but time is going by. We want to hear your singing. This is your harmonium, right?
Not mine.
Not yours?
I think it's his.
Okay. And who's got the drum? Whose is that?
That's his too.
Yours also. You're the supplier of the music instruments. Okay. So that we can go on, I'll just say a couple things. Something I've done every day for the many years that I've been practicing Bhakti Yoga is I like to hear every day, so I have this little device, it's a player, and I hear my recordings of my spiritual master every day, like at least an hour and a half every day, every day, every day, every day. There's a policy or a principle or a sutra taught by Patanjali. some of you that know something about yoga, you know something about Patanjali. He gave teachings in how to practice yoga, Patanjali Yoga Sutras. And in one of those sutras is a definition of what practice is. And it's really simple. It's sutras, little phrases. Every day, for an extended period of time, with confidence that's going to get you to where you want to go. So good teachings and a good teacher, then you have confidence. It's going to take you where you want to go. That's this staircase thing. Every day, for a prolonged period of time, with faith that it's going to get you to where you want to go. So one of the things that I remember hearing some years ago, I heard Prabhupada say a few times, the living entity is both conscious and consciousness. And it caught my ear, and I was like, wow, that sounds cool. What does it mean? It's good to ask those kind of questions. What does it mean? So time passed, and I read something from the Upanishads that gave the answer. The Upanishads, in a similar cryptic fashion, states that just as a lamp, that's this, is both luminous and it lights up the pots and plates in the room, similarly, living entity is both conscious and consciousness. So our consciousness is within, and it's extending without. I can hear the fan of the air conditioner. I can see you all sitting in the room, and the senses are reaching out. Consciousness is going through the senses, reaching out, but it's from a seat. We're conscious and consciousness. And the idea of meditation is to bring one's attention more to who we really are by the process of meditation. Most effective is mantra meditation, which we'll do shortly because I'm going to stop speaking shortly. And by sound, one can help concentrate because the object of sound is powerful. I've got too many stories. I'm going to tell a story. One time I was invited as a guest at Harvard University. The organizer had invited someone a professor from Islam, professor from Judaism, from Christianity, and I was the token Hindu guy because they couldn't find one. So they got me. And so the three of us were supposed to be a review of some films that were made by some religious studies students at Harvard University. It was a nice exercise. And so there are different parts of the film. It lasted about 15 minutes. And then we were asked what was the most meaningful thing for you, for each one of the three of us. So I said sound, because there was a scene where there was a fellow, you could hear this, here's a little canoe. There's some soft music in the background, but you could hear the splash of the oar as he's paddling his canoe. And then he pulled the canoe up to the side of the stream, the bank of the stream, or the river, or whatever it was. Pulled the boat up, then sat down in a lotus posture and hit one of those Buddhist gongs. Boom. Then 3 times. It's effective. Sound, even material sound, the hitting of a gong, powerful. What to speak of transcendental sound? What's the difference between material sound and transcendental sound? In transcendental sound, the sound vibration is not different than what is being vibrated, or the sound of that gong it brings your attention, but it's not transcendental. So if I say water, 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 doesn't quench my thirst, because the sound and the object are different. But in spiritual sound or transcendental sound, the sound and the object are the same. So when we chant the Hare Krishna mantra, you're present with Krishna, or Krishna agrees to be present with you. I'm here through sound. And if that consciousness is touching the sound, if you're attentive and present with the sound, that's transcendental meditation. And it's powerful. Like other sounds are powerful, without more elaboration on that. So meditation means to fix your mind on who you really are. But you have to know, by sound you can understand who you really are. Read Bhagavad Gita, and you get at least a clue through sound, recorded sound. And then the process of meditation can begin. And along with the Supreme Soul situated within the heart, there's an individual soul. This is also something that's taught in Bhagavad Gita. There's an individual soul that animates the body, and there's a Supreme Soul that's the observer, and he's noting very carefully the choices that we make and holds us responsible. From the Upanishads, Mundaka Upanishad, it gives this comparison of two birds seated in a tree. One's enjoying the fruits of the tree, the other is the witness. So the witness is the super soul, the supreme, situated in the heart, and the other living entity that's trying to be the enjoyer of stuff, in different modes of nature. Similar picture, super soul, that's over here, and then the individual soul trying to be the enjoyer of the fruits of work. And it's just part of having a material body. You want to be the enjoyer of the fruits of work. I'm gonna skip all of this because it's more teaching, but I want to move on to mantra meditation. So, abrupt ending, but no food for thought, and anticipating the kirtan that's going to follow. Let's see if there's some discussion. I'll assume you're thoughtful individuals, and you already indicated some understanding of Bhagavad Gita. And there's a lot more to learn, to be sure. Any comments or questions? Yeah.
Yes, sir. So I'm having a bit of a hard time understanding. So you said there's you said super soul, what was it?
Up here, this is a form of Krishna. So over here is the Atma, the individual soul, and then there's Param Atma, the supreme soul. And both are situated within every body. Whether it's a bird, or it's a fish, or a human, or a bug, or whatever. Both are present. One is animating the body, the other is observing. The witness. Two things. Upadrashta anumanta. Drashta means to see. They're observing and noting. They got a good computer. They're noting everything that, choices we're making. And then they're permitting, because we can't do anything without permission. We can't walk across the floor without there's a sanction to do so. If that sanction is taken away, you can't walk across the floor. The ability to walk across the floor is no longer with you. So we're able to do anything. There's sanction. The Supreme. He's not willing. We're doing the willing. I want to walk across the floor. Or I want to something. I want to attend the university and study whatever I'm going to study. So then sanction. It's the authorities of the university, but we're behind that and behind that and behind that. That's yoga. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
Question on mindfulness. What does the mindfulness means? How do we practice?
How do you practice it? I'll do a little sharing. You look very thoughtful. I'm gonna call on you next. You you're listening very carefully and thinking. So I'm sure you have something. Okay. When this topic first came up, I was asked to speak on it. So I was at somebody's home, somewhere in the Midwest, and the fellow was a corporate guy, and I asked, does this mindfulness topic come up in the corporate world? He said, "Oh yes." Everybody in the administrative position in our corporation, they must take the mindful manager. So, what does it mean to them? It's a cliche, and it doesn't necessarily mean what mindfulness really is. So mindfulness, what it really is as the Buddhists say. So, but we're not Buddhists, so how do we be mindful? Here, so shortly, he'll be leading us in kirtan, and you'll be hearing the sound, and there's a way to have your mind wander all over the place, and there's a way to be present with the sound. And mindfulness means your mind is with the activity. At least the ear, and then the voice, and then the ear, and the voice, and the mind is connected to that sound vibration through the medium of mindfulness, to the medium of sound. Or something else with your studies. That's on the material plane, but you can be distracted. Or you can be mindful. Yeah? It's okay. I hope you don't mind my picking on you.
Namaste, Prabhuji. You mentioned about Buddhism. Buddha told that he has rejected, he do not accept Veda fully. Because the concept of living at present was not fully.
He rejected it. He rejected the Vedas because the priests that were sacrificing the animal in the temple said this is Vedic.
Yes.
Then I reject the Vedas.
Yes. So in that case.
In favor of non-violence.
Yes, non-violence. So how do we preach that context in the present world? Because being in the present world, we think such kind of things are there. Yeah.
That's a good question. That's a thoughtful question. Here's a two-part answer. In the Vedas, it says, Jivo, Jivasya, Jivanam. One living entity subsists for their food on another living entity. And that's the law of nature. So how can you practice this if we're doing the same thing? That's the question. Yes. So supposing you're a vegetarian and you're eating something and some living entity, likely, is sacrificing their life to support your life. So there's consequences. There's no consequences if you're vegetarian. There's consequences if you take the life of another living entity. Therefore, that living entity that sacrificed the body, you offer that to Krishna. Then it becomes Krishna Prasadam, and the living entity that sacrificed their body they surpass the evolutionary scale and come very quickly to the human form of life, where they can continue that practice of bhakti that they were involuntarily engaged in an earlier stage. It's mercy, and it's karma free. So one more time, for you to take the remnants of that which is offered to Krishna, there's no karma for you, And the living entity that sacrificed their life, there's great spiritual benefit for that living entity. The tree that supplies the peaches, or the whatever it is, the tree benefits. Then there's a seed within that fruit, and that the seed will also benefit enormously, etc. Okay. Nice question. I knew you would have something. Yeah. I think this will be our last question because we're going to get ready for music. Sure.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thanks for coming to UH. It's always good to have you in Houston. So my question is about transcendental sound.
Okay.
You were giving an example with water, that if we chant water, we will not perceive the quenching of thirst. So some people may say that they chant other transcendental sounds like Hare Krishna,
Okay.
but they may say that I don't perceive Krishna when I chant this sound.
Okay.
So how does one distinguish between what is a legitimate transcendental sound and what is a material sound?
Okay. How do you know anything? The answer to that question is there are different ways of knowing. And there's three standard ways. Direct experience, you infer, although you may not, like I can't see the fan, but I can hear a sound, and it's kind of cold in here, and so it's probably, I'm inferring, likely, it's not conclusive, but it's probably the AC fan that's making that noise. So inference, and logic and reason, this is second. And then through authority, through transcendental authority, so that's the Vedas. And through the Vedas we can know what's what. Authoritatively. So that's how you can know. If there's indication in the Vedas or in the scriptures that says this is a transcendental sound, like Om. Pranavak sarva vedeshu, shabdake parusham nrshu, right in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, I am that pranava, I am that Om sound. That's me. But it's his impersonal feature, but it's from him, and it's of him, and it's therefore him. I am that. So through the Vedas we can have confirmation one way or the other, say yes or no. And if somebody makes a claim, da-da-da-da-da, then you can ask the question, my dear friend, could you indicate where in the Vedas it says da-da-da-da-da? And if not, I'm not so sure. It doesn't necessarily go in the trash can, but I'm not so sure. Let's do a little research and see if we can find if it's in the Vedas or not. Okay? Guru Sadhu Shastra. That's the three layers of understanding things. How are we doing? We're ready for Kirtan? Okay. Here you go.